Folks, welcome back. Another edition of the week here with Ron and I. Ron, how you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
Well, it's been a busy few days in the news.
It certainly has. I mean, I'm glad we're doing this week and not last week.
Yeah. I did a show Wednesday night last week. I didn't plan on streaming last Wednesday at all, like on the main channel or anything. I was packing. Thursday, I was driving all day, going out of town. Didn't get in till late Thursday night, but yeah, that was yeah. Well, we're still kind of talking about it because all these stories seem to revolve around the events of last week.
No, that is why this terrible event was such a turning point.
Yes, indeed. And first up on the docket, because I saw some people super chatting about this already, since we mentioned this last night. Boy, did you call it on The View? Yeah, no surprise. Yeah. I wonder why they didn't say anything, Ron. Do you think that there may have been somebody from legal and compliance at Disney that may have had a chat with the girls before the show started?
I didn't know that they were capable of listening, and yet we have seen before that they have taken orders. They know on which side their bread is buttered, and just one look at this lovely lady makes it clear that her bread is pretty important to her.
Yeah, she don't look happy. I don't know if that was from today's show, but yeah, it probably didn't look terribly different from this. But yeah, the View panel. What's that?
I was talking about carbs.
Oh, carbs. The View panel oddly silent about Jimmy Kimmel Live being pulled. I don't know if it was so odd, but yeah, that's what we're talking about tonight. And obviously, there have been further developments today.
You know, I want to let me just, if you don't mind, I'm thinking.
Go for it.
As you're saying this, they might not have gotten a note from legal at all. They might have spoken to their own team and said, it doesn't look like the network is fooling around anymore. You know, this just might have been a matter of basic self-preservation because, remember, they don't. The narrative that's emerging, and it's accurate, is that this was really driven by the affiliates.
Yes.
And I was on Pro Show last night. We talked about this. This was driven by the affiliates, not by Brendan Carr, but by the affiliates. And that's actually market power. And they can't stop market power. Again, right, there are some people who have been immune to market power and economics for a very long time. That's coming to an end on network TV.
Yeah, and you may be right, because I had just seen this article not long before we started. I didn't get a chance to. The headline and the picture I thought was funny. But here's to your point, Ron. A source close to the show talking about The View insists that the panel was not forbidden from discussing Kimmel. It's admittedly possible the panelists opted to self-censor during a period of internal crisis.
I'm saying the same thing as the Hollywood Reporter.
That's it.
Amazing.
It's good Lord.
I could be a Hollywood Reporter myself.
You got to try it. It's better than this gig. As it's difficult to imagine they didn't find the topic compelling enough to discuss. Yeah, obviously. So yeah, the View was did not bring it up, did not talk about it. But what we need to do is back up. Now that some of the dust has settled and we kind of know what's going on here, I thought it'd be good because I didn't get to do this last night because the story was breaking in the middle of my show live. So I'm sitting there trying to wrap my head around what was going on. But this all started out, and you'll have to pardon the I don't know what this is, a Target ad or something, but hey. I can't help pop-ups. Yeah, this is on CNN's website, but I was trying to go back and find an article that had a lot of the actual quotes from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr when he appeared on the Benny Johnson podcast yesterday, which is when this seemingly precipitated from that point and then snowballed. And we can speculate whether he may have precipitated it and why. I have a couple of different thoughts on what may have gone down. Again, all speculative, academic purposes here. Or was it something perhaps that was already in motion with the affiliates? And Brendan Carr he knew something was coming and he just kind of alluded to it on the podcast. I don't know, right? Who knows?
I don't think, I mean, I guess he's got his ears to the ground in broadcasting space. But I do think that Brendan is using his position as a bully pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
He is trying to extend the technical legal powers that he has as FCC chairman to set a tone and to point in a direction. And it's not without some risk for him to do that. Sure. I mean, not risk, but it's not entirely clear that there's no First Amendment issue with his doing so.
Well, we'll talk about that. Hold it, because that's absolutely some of the things that we want to go through. But let me set this up. So this, again, I just pulled this article from CNN because I was looking for, show me some of the actual quotes, because I didn't want to go back and scroll through Benny Johnson's entire thing. But what we have here in this article, I wanted to scroll that up. So there was a comment they were talking about. They were deviating into this topic, the topic of Jimmy Kimmel and his remarks. And I'm sure, look, Jimmy Kimmel has a history of making some, genuinely inflammatory remarks on his live show, his late show. He hasn't made any bones about the fact that he is very much anti-MAGA, hates Trump, hates Republicans. Nobody's questioning that, right? And then listening, as Brendan Carr spoke more, and then on again today, we'll show a clip of that in a minute, starting to kind of see where he's coming from here. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say right, wrong, indifferent, but I'm starting to paint a better picture of what he said. This is from the Benny Johnson show. This was Wednesday afternoon. He said, "This is a very, very serious issue right now for Disney." And then he also pointed out that a lot of station owners have a lot of power over ABC, since those owners, based on their licensing, they get to choose whether or not they carry ABC's, entire lineup of national programming. And Carr, the quote was, "It's time for them to step up," right? Because and reminding them that, hey, if you guys don't like what's going on, you guys have the ability to say, no, we don't want to have that show on our local affiliates anymore. And we'll speculate as to why that may be. I've clearly done quite a bit of it last night, and then of course on X as well. But one of the things here that I'll note is get down to, I think he had one more quote in here. It may not have been. Yeah. While licensing renewals can be a time-consuming process for stations every 8 years, they're typically not an uphill battle. The FCC hasn't denied any license renewals in decades. Decades of regulatory capture has made case law that strongly favors incumbent licensees, public interest lawyer Andrew J. Schwartzman told CNN last year. So just to kind of give everybody a bit of perspective that, and look, this goes back. I read this paragraph and I laughed, Ron, because I thought of one of my favorite movies, my favorite comedies ever. UHF, Weird Al Yankovic. And at the end, okay, Weird Al takes over a little local UHF television station. And at the end, the big bad network affiliate who tries to run him out of business, he gets caught saying a bunch of things on television that basically insulted the entire town. And there's a bit at the end of it where one of the FCC board members is like, "Hey, I've been watching you on TV lately. Yeah, your license is revoked, effective immediately." That's kind of how look, it reminded me of this, because the guy even makes a comment in the film, says, usually the license renewals are just a formality, but in your case, yeah, we're canceling your license. So
it wouldn't withstand a challenge.
Yeah.
Wouldn't withstand a challenge. I'm not,
No, I'm not saying they will revoke licenses here, certainly, but I mean,
no, I don't think. But I mean, that clearly is the threat. That's the threat that's being made here, and I think a lot of people feel this. Maybe this gave cover to the stations to do what they wanted to do anyway, or maybe they didn't need it, and Carr was just piling on. But they did turn that spoiled, unfunny crybaby into a little bit of a counterculturally, sort of not even a counterculture hero, because there's nothing countercultural about the mainstream media. I like what's happening, though. Okay, at the end of the day, it is a course correction. It is a healing to have businesses. Oh, we see. Now, how do I make the? I've got a camera. See, I think I did a gesture.
Did you change something on your? Well, I was about to say, boy, close up, Ron.
Go back. There we go. Oh, I'm a man. I'm so incredible. Look what I can. I don't even know what I did.
I've never. Are you on an iPad? Is that something with the?
No, I have a new camera. Why do I have a new camera? Because I broke my old one. And this one follows you around. Anyway,
gotcha.
The question, it's good. Institutions, major institutions that affect a lot of people need to go back to, not reflect, but that have an impact on many, many people, such as broadcasting networks and stations and media companies have been utterly disconnected from what the majority of the people in this country think about the majority of things. And the beauty of that, and it is a self-correcting mechanism, which is why you don't need the FCC for this. Eventually, they lose all perspective and overplay their hand, which is exactly what they did here. And that's why so many people have gotten fired.
Yeah.
Professors are losing jobs, executives. And yes, it's a chilling effect, not because the government's doing anything to anyone, but because people are starting to be accountable for what they say. It's a good thing.
Yeah. And just to kind of give people an idea here, there were two players. You brought it up earlier that this came from the ground up, more or less, right? This came from conglomerates that represent roughly 50 local ABC television affiliates. One of them is Nexstar. I don't think they posted their actual statement on X, although Sinclair did. We'll read them both. Here's Nexstar, and their comments were Mr. Kimmel's comments about, try to expand this a wee bit here. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Charlie Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located. Okay. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at the current time. And we've made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move forward as we move towards the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue. That's one of ABC's largest affiliate partners, Nexstar. Okay. Let me explain a few things so everybody understands. When you have a show, and this isn't just Jimmy Kimmel's, this is really all of late night, especially OTA, over the air broadcast television late night. We're talking Jimmy Fallon. We're talking Jimmy Kimmel. We're talking Stephen Colbert, right? I had the article here. We talked about this some time back. I believe I still have it queued up here. Let's see. Yeah, this was from Puck Magazine. I can't pull up Puck because I'm not logged in on this computer right now. Stephen Colbert's show alone was losing $40 million a year.
$40 million.
Yeah, $40 million a year. And here's the thing. Jimmy Fallon's show and Jimmy Kimmel's show are not terribly dissimilar. They were rumored in the 20-ish million range of losses a year. And the reason is, okay, that's important to understand. And this is why companies like Nexstar and whatnot get involved, because they're suffering too. This isn't just Disney that's feeling it. It's these major partners that own 50 plus stations around the country that carry the ABC lineup. Okay. Now, before we'll go back to this in a second, but I want to show everybody here. Here were the comments from Sinclair. And the reason that, people were talking about, well, Nexstar, they have a dog in the hunt because they're trying to get the FCC to approve them going over the ceiling of station ownerships and having a larger than, I think it's like 39.9% market share, something blah, blah, blah. I don't know the specificity, but all we need to know is that they are angling to buy Tenga, which is another affiliate conglomerate out there. And that purchase would put them above that ceiling that the FCC has traditionally had. Not, I think, by a whole lot, but again, that's out there. Ron, you look like you're going to say something.
No. I think you're right. I mean, I'm troubled. I don't like the idea that government approval should be part of this process in any way. I'm not losing a lot of sleep over it, but
yeah,
it's problematic. I'm not going to say it swings both ways because it's swung the other way for over a decade, and the world didn't come to an end. But lots of people were kicked off the air, and the government was involved in a lot of those cases, off the air and off social media. So a lot of the clever people on X are saying, boy, it would really be terrible if the Democrats got into power and did the same thing to us. They've been doing the same thing to us since the beginning of time, or certainly again the last 9 years. Having said that, that's not my concern. My concern is that this could blow up. It changes it gives them a rhetorical and political weapon, and if someone does challenge government involvement, whether it's through the regulatory, we need a regulatory approval, it could get messy.
Yeah. Well, adding to that, again, Nexstar wasn't alone. It was maybe an hour later, maybe not even, that we got from another major conglomerate, Sinclair. This is their actual statement. I have a copy. I had to copy the Nexstar. I don't know what I did with it, so I ran to Fox News or something to find the pull quotes. This is Sinclair's actual press release. Okay. Listen to this here. We got the nation's largest ABC affiliate group objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the assassination of Charlie Kirk. As discussed with ABC earlier today, Sinclair has decided to indefinitely preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live beginning tonight. Following these discussions, ABC has suspended production of Jimmy Kimmel Live. So these are two things happening here. One is the local affiliates have said, you do what you want, Disney. We're not going to carry this through to the local markets right now. We just, and we can talk about why here in a minute, or why we can speculate, right? It's not hard to speculate when we show you the data. Disney then made its own decision internally to then suspend the production of the show, right? The show could have continued. There were other affiliates. Disney could have thrown it on Hulu that night or something. Disney decided to just pull the plug on production of the show. So two things that Sinclair is confirming here, one of which they had control over. The other one was Disney's call. Mr. Kimmel's remarks were inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for our country. We believe broadcasters have a responsibility to educate and elevate respectful, constructive dialogue in our communities. We appreciate FCC Chairman Carr's remarks today And this incident highlights the critical need for the FCC to take immediate regulatory action to address control held over local broadcasters by the big national networks. Sinclair's ABC stations will air a special in remembrance of Kirk this Friday during Jimmy Kimmel's time slot. This special will also air across all Sinclair stations this weekend. In addition, Sinclair is offering the special to all ABC affiliates across the country, if they so desire, of course, Nexstar included, I suppose. Sinclair.
I mean, I wonder if they're going to if the affiliates in the big blue cities are going to play it.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the points that we're going to make tonight as to why. Because all these, I promise you right now, most of these affiliates we're talking about with Nexstar and Sinclair, they originate in the deep blues. But the problem is the customer base for them, the advertisers and the people that patronize a lot of these advertisers, and what we're talking about, people that don't necessarily live in the city limits. We're talking about people that are in the media market, but they live in the deep red suburbs outside of it. So again, there's, we talk about, like, you can talk about the city of New Orleans itself, for example, is deep, deep, deep blue Democrat. I ain't never going Republican again in my lifetime, I can tell you that. Okay. But if you go to all of the parishes, counties for the rest of you in the other 49 states, if you go right outside of New Orleans into Jefferson, St. Bernard, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, Plaquemine, all these Washington Parish, everything right around New Orleans, St. Charles, St. John, those are pretty deep red areas. Those are decidedly deep red. Those are all inside of that. Yeah, those are all inside that New Orleans media market, right? Even though all the television channels are in New Orleans proper, downtown New Orleans, right? Most all of them downtown New Orleans. The actual, like, there's 400,000 roughly, or 350,000 people living in the city of New Orleans itself, in Orleans Parish. If you talk about Jefferson, St. Tammany, and all these other places right around it, you're almost 1 million, not including the 350 in New Orleans. So that media market's bigger than just the city itself. So you got to think about the suburbs that they feed to. Okay. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. We got numbers here. The New York Post did a phenomenal job pulling up all the history of the advertise or the ratings and everything for these shows. And I'm going to show you what I think is going on that they can point to as the problem. Sinclair will not lift the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live on our stations until formal discussions are held with ABC regarding the network's commitment to professionalism and accountability. Wow. Sinclair also calls upon Mr. Kimmel to issue a direct apology to the Kirk family. Furthermore, we asked Mr. Kimmel to make a meaningful personal donation to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. So, I mean, again, to me, Ron, you're trying to get that camera right now. I'm thinking to myself on this, this is a lot of extra verbiage that Sinclair is throwing in.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. I think you did it earlier when you did when you did the widen out thing with your hands. Or you did some widening.
I see it. It's moving.
This is what you get for getting AI cameras. Actually, you look good. It looks, yeah.
Yeah, but it's up my nose. It's not. I did this. Come on, wasn't it this? That just ignore me, everyone. No, this
You're gonna have to.
You're really right, though. This is really an important point.
Yeah.
That they're really going out. They're really sticking their necks out to make a statement. Yeah. I mean, the Trump people couldn't have written a better statement themselves. Hello.
Yeah.
Camera.
It moved a little bit. It panned when you did that. But yeah, no, it really does. It's they went above and beyond of, hey, we certainly don't want to be part and parcel to any FCC actions against Disney, so we're going to pull Jimmy Kimmel. This was like very personal. We don't like this. The people watching, our customers, our advertisers, our viewers, they don't like this. They don't want to see this. Maybe they've been reached out to by a lot. They even conclude with this: regardless of ABC's plans for the future of the program, talking about Jimmy Kimmel Live, Sinclair intends not to return Jimmy Kimmel to our air until we're confident that appropriate steps have been taken to uphold the standards expected of a national broadcast platform. I mean, they took out the pipe and just went to town, metaphorically speaking here. I mean, it's pretty telling.
It is. I mean, it is really so down the middle political, that it is hard. I mean, the story inevitably is going to come out. Why they went this far? Now,
well,
one thing I saw today, maybe. Oh yeah, okay. So go with it.
Well, yeah, we'll get. I think it's the one where they talked about the interview or the sit down they had with Jimmy Kimmel in Dana Walden's office. It's been reported now by Variety. And
you had more details on that than all I saw was that he was basically he had no intention of apologizing.
Well, that's basically what it was.
He was going to do he was going to justify himself.
Right. So here's the issue. And this last night, because we didn't have this, because this New York Times put this article, or New York Post, pardon me, put this article together today. And it was exactly what I was looking for, okay? Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were plummeting, and I will say long before ABC suspended him for the Charlie Kirk comments. Let's get to the actual numbers, because these are what's important for people to understand. When we talk about the local affiliates here, we're talking about the people that are actually sending Jimmy Kimmel into your home on your TV where you live in your town, right? So what were the actual numbers for these things? The late night show was bleeding viewers before Disney-owned ABC pulled the plug and suspended him for his comments about Charlie Kirk. Nielsen data showed sharp summer declines and a year-long slide that leaves him trailing late-night rivals such as Greg Gutfeld on Fox News, which, by the way, not under FCC jurisdiction. Fox News is a cable channel. They are not OTA, right? So people ask, what in Fox News? Because Fox News doesn't broadcast on the public airwaves. It's not the same. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, you can take Jimmy Kimmel and stick him on Hulu, stick him on Netflix. Oh, people are like, he's got 20 million followers on YouTube. Good. Have him go do a show on YouTube. He's fine there. Nobody's censoring him. He can go out and say and do whatever he wants on those, but on the public airwaves, you've got the FCC to deal with, right? Well, here we go. According to monthly Nielsen figures, Jimmy Kimmel Live dropped to 1.1 million total viewers in August of 2025, down 43% from January's 1.95 million. You got it, Ron. His August household rating.
Tennessee tornado.
There we go. His August household rating of 0.35 marked the weakest showing of the year. That's the core demo rating. Not even a 1, a 0.35. Here we go. This is where it is. This is why this decision was so easy for Nexstar, so easy for Sinclair, and frankly, really easy for Disney. The advertiser coveted the demo, the core demo, the 18 to 49-year-olds. Jimmy Kimmel, of that 1.1 million, only was pulling 129,000 people in that core demo, which means you can't sell ads.
Valliant, here's the thing. That only sharpens our question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they? It would have been enough for them to say, Jimmy Kimmel's comments are offensive to many of our viewers, and we believe that it's bad for business to have, comments like that and leave it at that. But instead, they get on the soapbox
mm-hmm.
and go into this whole professionalism thing. Wasn't it real that just as Brendan Carr wasn't necessary, arguably,
mm-hmm.
the numbers are the justification. So too, you would think that the morality lecture or the good taste lecture also wasn't necessary. And yet they went out of their way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I want to say? Well, I think the answer is They saw this as an opportunity to re-equilibrate the relationship between the media centers and their morality. You know, one of the things that you always hear Neurotic say, and also who always makes this point, Disparrow.
Oh, Disparrow, yeah.
That the real world outside that Hollywood writers are always talking about. Remember, Hollywood writers. Oh, there we go again. You see, it zoomed in on me again. Tornado. That gesture also zooms out. The Hollywood writers and the New York writers they're the same class. They come from the same. And this was an opportunity, I think, for Sinclair to reestablish the contours of their business, because these are the people who are seeing broadcast TV go to hell.
Right.
They're, Disney has this great, when this is something goes, something we've talked about for years. Disney has this fantastic, diverse portfolio. There's always the cash flow from the parks, and you have the movies, and you have the merchandising. TV stations make money from advertising. That's it. They don't have a diverse portfolio. They can't cross-subsidize businesses that lose money with ones that make money. Therefore, they're feeling the pinch.
Yes.
Of the decline of what happens when a bunch of Jew writers in Los Angeles and New York decide they're going to jam their morality and their politics on the America that these broadcast networks, and affiliates are trying to make a living from. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is odd, but like I said, when you really look at the numbers again, this is what was killing not just the show, right, but killing the local affiliates. And let me finish reading from some of these. Whether with his ABC contract set to expire in May of 2026, as a matter of fact, the slump raises questions about whether Jimmy Kimmel Live can regain momentum against Colbert, Fallon, and cable insurgents. No, probably not. In fact, I even speculated on X earlier. I said, one might think that Fallon will invariably be next, not because Jimmy Fallon has done anything offensive. I think actually, I'm not a particular fan of Jimmy Fallon, but quite frankly, he and NBC Universal Comcast have kept that show comparably, especially to Colbert and Kimmel, pretty squeaky clean. Kept him out of any kind of major controversy. I think it's just going to be a matter of, Fallon, like everybody else in late night, is losing money. But then again, all the audience for Colbert and Kimmel may have to go somewhere, and NBC Universal may be a huge beneficiary of this falling out.
Well, I don't watch any of these shows. I don't watch any TV. But it is clear when I see the clips, these guys come out, especially Kimmel. He's gotten so dark, and Colbert is just, he's snarky, but Kimmel is mean and nasty. He's really nasty. And they come out and get right into the politics. Like, it's not even drop in a Nixon joke like Johnny used to do.
Right.
Drop in a Clinton joke like Leno used to do, or Letterman. It's we're all going to be Rachel Maddow. We're all we're all going to. Oh man, there was a great tweet. What's his Keith
Oberman. Oh, I have it.
Oberman.
I have it. I've got it. I've got it queued up. It's in my list. Okay. Oh, we got so much fun stuff to get to. I'll probably just start scrolling through my bookmarks, and we'll laugh our butts off at half this stuff. These people are nuttier than a squirrel turd. But let me tell you what. You look here. Here's the problem. Let's put the numbers on it. Jimmy Kimmel's deal, again, running through May 26. Industry reports put his salary at 15 to 16 million per year, with some outlets noting that bonuses push his earnings to closer to 20 million. This show is probably losing by best estimates, and I think this came from Puck as well when they did the Colbert thing, saying that his show is losing 40 million. Kimmel's show and the Fallon show probably losing somewhere in the 20 to 30 million range. It's in there. They're all losing a lot of money. And the reason is because when you've only got now an average of 1 million people a night watching your show, and I say only, I know that sounds like a lot, right? The problem is that out of that million, 875,000 of them are not the people that most advertisers are looking for. And Ron, you may or may not know this, but I mean, when you watch late night TV, or you know how you know that nobody's watching a show? Most or all of the commercials are either for other programs on that channel, number one, but more importantly, they are pharmaceutical companies. It's all the medicines. Ask your doctor about this. Because the pharmaceutical companies for advertisers are the advertisers basically of last resort. And we've had our friend on the show here before, KMG, Kiss My Grits, who is a very, very knowledgeable veteran of the big national ad industry, worked for one of the major networks for many years. And he's given us a font of knowledge on this. And he said, oh, yeah, anytime we couldn't sell something, some of these shows that we're talking about tonight, you'd always call up Merck, you'd call up Pfizer, you'd call up Eli Lilly or something. They got, and you'd hey, what can you spend to fill this slot? Those pharmaceutical companies would always dive in. So what you got with Jimmy Kimmel, basically, if only 125, 150,000 of the people watching you are that coveted 18 to 49 demo, the one that advertisers want to hit, right? You're talking about something that's less than 10% of your audience. The rest of your audience means that it's people 50, 60 plus. And I think somebody even dug deeper in the numbers. It's older white women falling asleep watching Kimmel on TV or something like. It's basically what we're talking about here. It's the crap you put on in the TV to fall asleep to. So the point is, this does not help Nexstar. This does not help Sinclair. Disney sells those big national brand ads to Pfizer and stuff like that to fill those national slots. But you've got, I forget what the number is, 20, 30% of the slots are reserved for the local affiliate, so that the local car repair shop might want to buy an ad, or the local attorney might want to buy an ad, or the local, whatever, filling the lawn care service is going to want to put on an ad. Come down and buy a new refrigerator from Mike's Refrigerators or whatever. That's the kind of thing. You can't sell those ads, for at least not for any real money. Like, okay, we'll cut the ad price, by 50% because somebody will see it, but nowhere near. So again, this is hurting everybody is the point. And again, it's not just relegated to Kimmel. It's also the problem of the other late night OTAs. Now, here's the thing. They bring up Greg Gutfeld. And this is the point that I want everybody to understand. This is what makes this show different. And this is why Gutfeld's show, frankly, doesn't lose money. Okay. Check this out. Last year's erosion in viewership follows a bumpy 2024. Nielsen ratings show Kimmel averaged 1.77 million total viewers last year in 24. That was down. Ron had a glitch. That was down. He'll be right back. That was down 2.3% from 23 in the core demo. He shed more than 12%. So not good. Ron's back. By comparison, CBS's Late Show with Stephen Colbert held the top broadcast spot with 2.57 million viewers. But again, look at the core demo, only 281,000, only about 10%. And it continues to shrink. So that coveted advertising hotspot, they don't have. Here we go. Fox News' Greg Gutfeld remains cable late nights ratings juggernaut in 24, averaging 2.76 million viewers, though it airs at 10 p.m. when more viewers are awake. Now, what they also don't mention in there, and I have to go back and find it, I know I've seen it, Gutfeld's core demo, that 18 to 49-year-old viewer, way bigger. way bigger than Colbert's, way bigger than Kimmel's, way bigger than Fallon's. Hell, his core demo might be more than all of them put together. So again, just for compare, because people say, well, how does Gutfeld stay on the air? He doesn't have that many more than some like Colbert did. Yeah, but it's who's watching him and who they can sell ads to. Gutfeld is a far bigger money machine than Stephen Colbert. Much, much bigger, right? So again, this is part of the reason I think Sinclair and Nexstar, this was a really easy call for them. Because, and again, you look at it from a Disney standpoint, go back to what we said earlier when Nexstar or Sinclair said this, hey, we've decided not to air Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, and by the way, in the same press release, in case you didn't know, we're also going to announce to the world that Disney has decided to halt production on the show altogether.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. But we're starting to understand why. And, I said this the other night to, and I guess some people liked it. Some people wanted to argue about it. And that's all fine and dandy. I don't care. But I made the point of saying this, a couple of posts that I was trying to, as best I could, as I was watching, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening. Kind of make sense of some of this stuff. And to pull, there was two of them in particular. Let me go down here and get this. Here we go. This is the comment that people kind of keep going back to. And I threw this up as think about this, if the real problem was actually the FCC, why pull Kimmel's entire show? Disney could have said, hey, go out and apologize. Well, guess what they did? We're going to get to that one next. And that would be that. This happened on The View several times, in fact. But Disney could also say, hey, Jimmy Kimmel, you're a Hulu streaming exclusive show tonight. No FCC there, no local broadcast. They could have gone to any number of 24 different cable channels, including ESPN that Disney owns, that would have not had to deal with FCC. But no, they killed the show. So I said, come on, Disney, tell us the truth. You were losing your ass on Jimmy Kimmel. Sinclair and Nexstar gave you the perfect get-out-of-jail-free card to go ahead and just pop this show. Because then, Ron, as you pointed out, Disney could go on the news, as they did last night, and say, hey, we didn't want to do it, but Trump did it. Trump made us do it. Brandon Carr made us do it, right? And there may be some degree of truth to that. We don't know. But, there are a multitude of other very, very potent financial business reasons why this was happening.
The game, I just saw a great tweet from David Marcus on X.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Box Dave, where he said, the whole sick game is breaking open wide. And I'm so happy to be your guide to it all, if you indulge me. And the point is, he feels like he's all on top of it, but everything's so much is changing. And I will say this much. God forbid anyone say that Charlie Kirk was murdered because of Donald Trump. But the changes that are happening in this country, that both
you can't do hand gestures anymore. Yeah.
This is the most anti-Semitic technology I've ever. I can't do hand gestures. The changes that are taking place in Trump 2.0, things are actually changing. It's not just the talk. Mm-hmm. The destruction that these people, the Antifa people and the trans people, have wreaked, might actually be pronounced correct, on our society and our country, is really being pushed back. And that is making them desperate. And that's why they're doing these desperate things. But the more desperate they get and the more they lash out, the easier it is for us. And this is the same thing in my line of work. The judges who are disregarding the Supreme Court, disregarding the Constitution, they're so over the top that they're enabling the Trump administration to make great law for the right. That's what happens with desperation.
It does. And, it keeps getting crazier because, again, I don't remember flying through these. And yeah, Nexstar denying that Jimmy Kimmel's suspension was due to FCC pressure. They're coming out and saying that, hey, no, we'll explain it. And we got this and a few more articles. And we got some funny stuff, including Keith Oberman, who, you know what? I can't even get mad at Keith Oberman anymore. I think his brain is so broken. It's just something. All right, we got a couple of super chats backed up. Tennessee Tornado gifted a membership for Araxis. Hello, Mr. Coleman. Because that's the joke. We can't do gifted memberships on Renegade Nation. I haven't set them up yet. But you can gift them to Ron Coleman, who got 5 from Scott Westbrook over there. And this is the craziest thing. Well, I guess Scott is watching it on. I see on Scott Westbrook. I can't show it on the screen, but Ron, I don't know if you can see it in the back here with the super chat. He's got the Twitter thing and he's got the. Oh no, that's your link thing. So he's watching. Okay, that's hooking in from your channel. All these little graphics when we simulcast this stuff to your channel, my channel on YouTube, your channel, my channel on X. Yeah. So. All right, and we got this one for Archer Merchant earlier. Tennessee says for 5 early again, found the cutlery tonight, but the dishwasher was deported, so nothing is clean. Got Buc-ee's pulled pork for anyone who wants some. Dude, send it. We're finally going to get a Buc-ee's that's going to be about an hour and a half closer to my house. The closest one was like out in Loxley, Alabama. We usually stop there on the way to Orlando every year. But they just put one in Mississippi around Biloxi. So, oh my God, I'm so looking forward to it. I think it just opened. I hadn't been there yet. And we got, thanks for putting this in chat. WDW Pro says for $45, happy birthday, VR. It's still a few hours away, but yes, thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And here it comes. Hillis Mallory for 2. Oh, someone has a birthday. Yes, and I will not be streaming tomorrow. So I'll probably be at a high school football game and then trying to go out with Mrs. Renegade. We try to find some time, maybe go get dinner tomorrow night. But then I realized that we have a football game that our daughter's dancing on the dance team for. So because of that $45 super chat, I actually had a new clip here that I put together just for Ron. It's one of my favorite Chris Rock moments ever that I thought was so appropriate. So this is for the folks out there in the super chat.
You got the right to remain silent. You got the right to an attorney. If you can't afford an attorney, we will provide you with the dumbest fucking lawyer on earth.
I don't care what anybody says. I thought Lethal Weapon 4 was a ton of fun. I love that movie still. I don't care what anybody says about it. Chris Rock was so funny in it. Yeah. So
it's really not fair, by the way. There are some really bad public defenders, it's true, but there really are some very good and dedicated public defenders. But to get a laugh line for Chris Rock with his delivery, well worth it.
Yeah. Well, but again, when it's like, unlike Jimmy Kimmel, right? When Chris Rock delivers a line like that, you know he's making a joke. Whereas with Jimmy Kimmel, like you said, he's just being mean. So, any case, so yeah, let's get back to this one and then a couple other bits and pieces here. Nexstar denies that Jimmy Kimmel's suspension was due to FCC pressure. They have stated the company announced the decision hours after that Carr threatened to take action against ABC affiliates, or at least they said, hey, Disney may be in trouble here. We'll have to look at things, right? There was nothing specific he said about what action he was going to take, but it's kind of like, in my line of work, if I get a phone call from the compliance department and they got a phone call from FINRA and FINRA said, hey, look, y'all might have some issues here. You need to look at doing something here. No specific action, but they're kind of telling you, clean up the books, make sure you got this right, make sure you have all your client documents filed correctly, right? You pay attention. That's what the FCC is doing here. But what Nexstar said, and I love this, how unequivocal they are. The company announced this decision. Carl, asked whether Nexstar's decision was in any way, let me get the cursor back over here, influenced by Carr's remarks, Gary Whiteman, the company's chief communications officer of Nexstar, said, no. The decision to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live was made unilaterally by the senior executive team at Nexstar, and they had no communication with the FCC or any government agency prior to making that decision. Now, I know, Ron, go ahead. I know you want to say something here.
But we do read X. We don't need to have Brendan Carr on speed dial to find out what Brendan Carr thinks.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's an important point, though.
Mm-hmm.
Kimmel can't walk into court now and say, no, it was Brendan Carr. Because they've gone on the record already and said, no, it's not Brendan Carr. It's us. It's not you, it's me.
Right. Not to mention, I mean, apart from it being Nexstar, apart from it being Sinclair, as we mentioned before, Disney itself made the decision to stop production on the show when Disney has quite a few alternatives at its disposal, readily available. Now, I realize that some contracts or whatnot may have needed to be altered. Hey, Jimmy, you're not going to be on ABC. You're going to be over on Hulu tonight exclusively. But that probably could have been done extremely quickly if they needed to shift gears. But they elected to terminate the whole production of the whole show, right? The FCC can't tell them to terminate production on a show. They might say, hey, we don't want you broadcasting on the public airwaves. No, but Disney really, could have said, yeah.
I mean, this really, it's almost as if someone really doesn't like Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
And it could very well be that the opportunity to get rid of his snarky ass was just, all right, that is it. That is it. This guy has now given us the ticket to get, because you know that meeting, we didn't get to the meeting yet, right?
No, I had it up. I think I might have closed it, but I'm going to get it right now. It's on a Variety article, or it was THR as one of the two. I think I just accidentally closed it by mistake. I didn't mean. I thought I had the darn thing up, but it looks like it looks like I did accidentally close the wrong window there. So the point is that Kimmel meeting with Dana Walden, Disney. I think it was Variety. It's Variety or TH. It doesn't matter. They all have it. Yep, this is it. It's all the same thing. Okay. Here we go. 6 one way, half dozen the other. Stephen Colbert defends Jimmy Kimmel, slams Disney amid show suspension. Yeah, we don't care. Here we go. How Jimmy Kimmel's suspension went down. Sponsor panic, a defiant host, and that's the key, the defiant host part. He made his own bet on this one. Again, surprise, Jimmy Kimmel. And a painful phone call. Disney's Bob Iger and Dana Walden wanted to know how Jimmy Kimmel was going to address the situation. Sources say he planned to defend what he said rather than kowtowing to the outrage. Disney thought that would fan the flames. Duh. And of course, there's a picture. You got Kimmel, you got Bob Iger, there's Dana Walden on the right. And as we talked about last night, remember, Dana Walden, kids, was, the clear, and way out in front runner to succeed Bob Iger next year. And then her really good Brentwood neighborhood buddy lost the presidential election. Kamala Harris, who Kamala credits Dana Walden for introducing her to Doug, her husband. So again, after that, Dana may not be in the catbird seat anymore. You know what, Ron? It was so touching, just like the love letter to the trans boyfriend from the Charlie Kirk shoot. Remember ABC's anchor said how touching the words were. Maybe this was. You didn't see that?
I did. No, and boy, he's trying to walk that back now.
Ooh, is he ever? All right, so here's the nitty-gritty. On Wednesday, Disney caved to pressure from various partners and benched Jimmy Kimmel Live. Now, I want to give Hollywood Reporter some real credit here for that opening line. They caved to pressure from various partners, namely the business partners Nexstar and Sinclair. The Hollywood THR didn't open this up with Disney caved to pressure from the Trump administration. They called what it was. So good on THR. I'm going to give them credit there. Ultimately, the decision was Bob Iger's and Dana Walden's. Yep. But there was more leading up to it than what we previously reported. On Monday's episode of his long-running ABC late-night talk show, Jimmy Kimmel mocked MAGA Republicans for attempting to distance their own political ideologies from those of Charlie Kirk's alleged murderer, Tyler Robinson.
Attempting.
Yeah.
Oops. Here we go again. Okay.
This is the funniest show we've ever had with Ron. I love his new camera and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, I'm gonna master this. There we go. Here we go.
There's got to be a way to turn off the hand gesture thing so it wouldn't do that on you as much. But
yeah,
anyway, the quote for Jimmy Kimmel, just so we're all very clear, quote, "We've hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it," Kimmel said during the monologue. So he's clearly trying to say here, remember, this is Monday. Obviously, there was still information coming in, but I think we had plenty of information and evidence at that point, press conferences and otherwise, that seemed to suggest that was absolutely not the case. However, Jimmy Kimmel, like a lot of people on Blue Sky, weren't going to let facts get in the way of anger. So, you know, they're going to stick to their guns on that one.
Spin, you've heard the spin though, right? The spin is he didn't actually say that he was MAGA.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
But rather, they wanted to make it clear that he wasn't MAGA. Well, guess what, folks?
Sure.
Go back to that paragraph.
Sure. Okay.
Yep.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang.
Trying to categorize this kid as anything other than one of them.
I don't know how else to interpret that, Ron.
Well, and that was a low. Okay, so in other words, he's suggesting they're doing something low by suggesting he's not one of them. That's his backward way of saying he's one of them, but they're so low that they're trying to make it look like he's not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, every word is scripted.
Yeah.
Every single word is scripted. So the choice of words was well thought out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because the writing staff was upset. We got video of the writers protesting in the streets today.
The writers, they were upset because they got fired.
Yeah. Oh, the whole WGA was out there protesting.
The whole there were like 23 people.
Yeah. But here we go. The implication kicked off a, quote, social media shitstorm. A source with information tells THR. It died down temporarily, but almost immediately after Brendan Carr, FCC chairman, appearance on Benny Johnson, the storm of shit, quote, became a bigger swirl. It's like, who are they getting these quotes from? This is great. Within hours, multiple ABC station owners held calls with senior Disney leadership expressing concern with the comments. Inside of ABC, multiple conversations with Kimmel were had at the executive level. So we're talking C-suite. We don't have to guess. We're talking Iger. We're talking Dana Walden. At the very least, Dana Walden, but Iger was probably in the room too. The first person says, talking about their sources, though the talks had not yet reached Bob Iger or Dana Walden yet, at least for that first meeting. The execs wanted to know, how was Kimmel going to address the situation on Wednesday night show? The answer was not satisfactory to management. Meanwhile, the advertiser calls began to roll in. The advertiser calls. Now we're not even talking about, now we've added to the pot. First, we had Nexstar, an affiliate owner, a big conglomerate affiliate owner. Then we had Sinclair. Now we're on to national advertisers that don't go through Sinclair or Nexstar, but spend their money directly at DAS, Disney Ad Sales. Okay, that unit. Now they're getting called from national advertisers. It is a trifecta of crap. Okay.
Here's the thing, folks. The advertisers themselves, They're not ideological.
Mhm.
They're terrified. Anyone in marketing, anyone not on blue sky, but actually with his eyes open, is aware that the national consensus on this, the man in the street,
Mhm.
is sympathy for Charlie Kirk. Full stop. Anything that looks like an attack on Charlie Kirk
Mhm.
or the movement he was part of is a loser. And these advertisers don't want to be on some list that gets tweeted around of
Mhm.
people who are supporting Jimmy Kimmel.
Yep.
It's really pretty simple math.
That's it. That's it. So now we got advertisers calling. By the way, speaking of advertising, we got to do this real quick. You know, we got Ron Coleman here. I'm here. We're broadcasting my channel, his channel, 2 channels on X. If you're watching out there, hey, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe if you aren't yet, follow if you're on X. We appreciate it. All that stuff's free. You see these super chats coming in here? These are our fans here on YouTube. So if you want to jump in the conversation and send your support, get on over here to YouTube. Guys on YouTube, we got 420 people watching on my channel. Ron, I don't know what you got. And then we've got another couple thousand out there on Twitter. It looks like between you and probably mostly your channel on Twitter. So please, folks, hit the like button. I got 153 likes over here with 420 people watching. We should be able to get that up to 250, 300 at least, guys. So we appreciate you. All right, back to the story here. So now we've got the answer was not satisfactory. The advertiser calls begin to roll in, and then the big affiliate conglomerates Nexstar and Sinclair threatened to preempt the show. So all this is going on at one time. We had not heard that national advertisers were behind the scenes calling into Disney. So let me tell you something. National advertisers, and this is kind of the kill shot for this argument here. National advertisers arguably, well, we're talking about this situation, not the other one. Pardon me. I know. It's in my lexicon, so it just came out. Pardon me. Did not mean that in an insensitive way, obviously.
No, I know that. I know you.
But I know. When I say for the audience. So look, here's the deal. You get national advertisers. They don't, pardon my French, they don't give a shit about the FCC. They got nothing to do with the FCC. They could care less what Brendan Carr goes out and says. It's like Ron just mentioned a minute ago. National advertisers are calling in, right? Think of, I don't know who advertises on Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe it is Pfizer. I mean, well, certainly they are one of them. I mean, somebody put a montage together of all of the Stephen Colbert episodes that were fully sponsored by Pfizer. The thing ran for like 16 minutes. so sponsored by Pfizer, sponsored by Pfizer, sponsored by Pfizer. Jimmy Kimmel and these guys are really not that much different. But let's say it was Ford or Chevy or Nissan or Hyundai, or I mean, there's probably some car commercials on the Jimmy Kimmel show, right? Most national shows will have a car commercial somewhere in there. They're calling up saying we don't want to be a part of this. You could forget Sinclair and whatnot for a minute. That alone, if the national advertisers started calling their ad execs at DAS, which is exactly how this would have probably gone down, they would have called DAS and they'd be like, look, whatever we had booked tonight for Jimmy Kimmel, get us the piss off that show. That would have shut it down right there. You didn't even need Sinclair and Nexstar to get involved at that point.
Keep in mind, though, that these shows increasingly, they're not really having, as from what I understand, the showbiz guests the way they used to, but rather it's political guests.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I mean, how many did Ilhan Omar ever wind up on Jimmy Kimmel's show? Probably a few times, I guess.
I don't. That would be
the squad. You know, we got Rashida Tlaib and AOC going on there, and anyway, point being is that there was a lot more going on here than Brendan Carr. You know, whether he may have been the impetus for the snowball or not, when you start getting national advertisers in, you know, that's game over for a show right there. That in and of itself. So here's the thing. The second source says that the blowback was snowballing enough that had ABC not acted, Jimmy Kimmel's show would have been dark in a large swath of the country, even beyond Sinclair and Nexstar. which includes the Washington, D.C. metro area. By the way, Nexstar also has the local affiliates in several major New York markets. I don't think they have New York City, because that's WABC. That's one of the main Disney channels. That's the one they physically own, WABC. But I think like one of them may have been Buffalo or Albany or something. So they got some big New York, markets up there. The situation became a safety issue. I don't know what this means because I haven't read this part yet, but that's interesting. The situation became a safety issue as Disney employees saw their emails doxed. Oh, okay. I didn't know about this. Per the first source, some even received death threats. Disney wanted Kimmel to address the situation in a way. Remember, they wanted Jimmy Kimmel to go out and address it himself. Hey, tone it down, in a way that would, quote, take down the temperature. But what he planned was to actually fan the flames with the MAGA fan base. So now we're adding in two major conglomerate partners of ABC. We're going to turn his show dark. Other ones beyond Sinclair and Nexstar were going to go dark on Kimmel as well. Add to that, you had national advertisers that were calling up, probably looking to pull or move their ads off of Kimmel to give me any other show that you can. I'll let you add on Disney Plus, but for God's sake, do not put me on Jimmy Kimmel. That kind of thing is what it sounds like. Now, Jimmy Kimmel's own staff, apparently, allegedly, was getting harassing emails, and Jimmy Kimmel's answer to all of this chaos was to, I'm going to go out tonight and I'm going to make it worse. This was not a hard decision for Disney at this point at all. Just wasn't going to happen. A source at Jimmy Kimmel Live counters to THR that Kimmel's planned on-air address was, quote, not making it worse. But, okay, if you
but all he was doing was, next paragraph, all he was doing was defending what he said as being grossly mischaracterized by a certain group of people.
Yes, the Jews.
Maybe that's the one card Jimmy Kimmel wasn't going to.
It could have been. Kimmel was defending what he said as being grossly mischaracterized. THR reported Kimmel did not plan to apologize for his comments. This is from a previous report. This is an update to it later in the day, but did plan to address the situation on air. He didn't get that chance. It was too little, too late. And again, remember, Jimmy Kimmel has said a lot of this kind of crazy stuff, way worse stuff than this in the past. So this is not like Jimmy Kimmel's first gaffe on air like this. He's got a plethora of them. Talks between Kimmel and Disney ABC hit enough of a stalemate that executives there, meaning at Disney, decided Wednesday's episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live had run out of time to be salvaged. The show's live tape-to-tape time was not far off. The studio audience was lined up outside, but had not yet been brought in. They tape live at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time each day, Monday through Friday, I guess. By this point, 66 of the roughly 200 affiliate stations had already announced they were not going to carry the episode. And that's when ABC announced it was suspending the program. A Bob Iger and Dana Walden, there it is, joint decision that was a, quote, last resort, says the first person. Walden delivered the news to Jimmy Kimmel, but did not ask him to apologize, says the source, who described Wednesday as a, quote, very heavy, very hard day inside the walls of Disney and ABC. Disney and Jimmy Kimmel have declined to comment on the situation. So there you have it. It seems like even with multiple sources, Kimmel was given an opportunity. Hey, we can salvage this.
Okay, can you last paragraph again?
Yeah, sure.
I don't really understand this. And this could just be poor writing. Walden delivered the news to Kimmel, but did not ask him to apologize. That's a non sequitur. You already decided the show was going to be suspended.
Right.
Why would you ask? And he already told you that he wasn't going to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
So what does "but did not ask him to apologize" even mean? He either could have said, and maybe this might be what the reporter means,
Mhm.
He could have said it's suspended unless you apologize, and if you apologize, we can get it back on next week. Okay, you know,
Right.
we can put on Abbott and Costello tonight. You know, but otherwise it doesn't make any sense. If he said it's suspended, and he already said he wasn't going to apologize, why would he be asking him to apologize? So I don't really quite get it. Disney and Kimmel declined to comment on the situation, unlike everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, now maybe I can speculate because they were quoting 2 or 3 different sources inside Disney for this piece. Maybe they were trying to specify. I don't know. But no, you're right. But lastly, Disney is still trying to find a path, and this is what I find interesting. Disney is still trying to find a path back to Jimmy Kimmel Live, according to the source. Well, that may have been today or yesterday. I don't know if that's going to be the case tomorrow. At the top, executives are hopeful, but note that the future is up to Jimmy Kimmel's willingness to participate in the cooling off process. Of course, the future of Jimmy Kimmel Live is also at least sort of up to the ABC affiliates. The source could not say how many would have to be on board for ABC to continue business with Jimmy Kimmel Live. I'll put it this way. I don't know if it's a number so much of which media markets that they lost. And if Nexstar pulled and Sinclair pulled, I mean, those two right there represent some rather significant American media markets. Quite a few significant American media markets. So, hey, I can lose 50 media markets. And if all 50 of those media markets are Timbuktu, right, population of 4, it doesn't matter. But if I lose 2 or 3 or 4 media markets, and those happen to be New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Dallas, Fort Worth, we have a problem. It's like, because remember, Disney sells ads for these shows, and they're basically promising advertisers at least some minimum threshold. And if they don't meet those minimum thresholds of viewers, guess what Disney has to do? They got to write refund checks. They don't want to do that. So the funny thing is, of course, with Disney losing probably $20 million a year on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Hold on a second. You just again, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What refund checks would Disney have to write?
So, okay. So when you when you're Disney, and I wish KMG was here. He explains this better than I do, because he used to do this professionally for a long time. When you sell an ad to Ford, okay, you know how like we hear every year the most famous commercials of all, the Super Bowl. What is the Super Bowl 30-second spot run now? Like $10 million for a 30-second spot. So even for them, they're saying, look, it's 10 million for you to get in. We're guaranteeing you're going to have at least 100 million eyeballs on this commercial. And this doesn't happen with the Super Bowl like ever, but I'm just using it because it's in everybody can identify with. And and let's say that the Super Bowl rolls out and that spot is 10 million, but instead of your 100 million eyeballs, let's say you get 120 million. You're actually going to have to cough. It's in your contract. You'll actually wind up paying whoever's broadcasting the Super Bowl a little bit more as an escalator because you got in front of more people. Now, if you don't hit your minimum and only 50 million people watch the Super Bowl and half the audience you were promised, there's usually a clause in there. They're gonna write you a check back for part of that because they guaranteed you a certain minimum for that price. Now, not every ad spot works. A lot of the local ones, I think, don't work that way. But I mean,
no,
like on the
I used to sell radio advertising time when I was in college because we had a commercial station. I was actually the sales manager. Obviously, it didn't work that way, but at the Super Bowl level or at the network level, where you have all these analytics, I suppose, and where the numbers are so big.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about companies that commit to when they do upfronts. Think about when they like upfronts is a huge thing in Hollywood for TV every single year. That's when NBC, ABC, Disney, ESPN, Fox, everybody under the sun pitches their lineup starting in the fall. This is why we had seasons of televisions that started in the fall and they ran through May, right? That's why the Emmys just happen, because it follows a normal TV season like a school year. So you'd get to upfronts, which we had earlier this year, and Disney will pre-sell $100 million in advertising, upfront cash, so you can book your spot. Hey, do you want to be on our massive college football, Saturday SEC on ESPN? You want to get that LSU Florida game that had 8 million people watching it this past weekend? They didn't just sell those ads Friday morning. They sold those ads months ago. So all that kind of stuff factors into, projected viewership and all this kind of stuff. And, hey, we're going to promise you this. You're going to get this audience. You're going to get that. This is the core target demo you're looking for. We have it here. So, yeah, it's very sophisticated now. But, yeah, you're right. Like the local, Joe's Barbershop in Timbuktu is not – it's not the same thing, So, but, yeah. So, now the other part of this, that the reactions out there were priceless to this. And I think we've all seen how it's kind of gone down. And let me get this Chrome tab shared. I mentioned this a minute ago. Here was the Writers Guild members have gathered outside of Disney headquarters to protest. Yes, massive protest. Let's see. Why, Ron? How poetic and how stereotypical is it that we actually have like a drum circle in the background? You can hear the drum circle going. You just need a few more hippies. Filthy hippies. You got Richard Simmons running across the road there. I don't know what that was.
No, that guy who's a Valliant. In that neighborhood, everyone looks like Richard Simmons.
All right. I mean, it's just like somebody out there literally doing a bongo drum circle for Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, wait, he had the 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot. My mistake. He didn't even have an actual drum. And yeah, oh, look, somebody's got the Hillary and Kamala sign that says, "We fucking warned you." Oh, wait, is that a Star Wars? Somebody have a Star? It is Disney. This is literally what your show Andor is about. Oh my God. I didn't even see that one earlier. I bet he works at Lucasfilm.
What an inspiring demonstration.
Oh man, that is awesome. Okay. This was, speaking of Disney, because I had to grab these Disney reference ones that had to go with this. Lost creator Damon Lindelof says he will not work for Disney until Jimmy Kimmel is reinstated on his show. Here's what's really, I know Ron doesn't remember this, but here's what's really funny about this. Damon Lindelof already lost his Star Wars movie. Damon Lindelof was another one of these guys that Kathleen Kennedy brought in desperately. He was the second. They're now on the fourth, or if I'm not mistaken, fifth writer to bring back Rey Skywalker. Damon Lindelof was number 2 or 3 in the mix. So like he was hired, paid money, show up, try to write a script for Lucasfilm for Kathleen Kennedy for another failed sequel trilogy movie. And he left or got fired from it. And now he's saying, well, I'm not going to work for Disney till Jimmy Kimmel's back on the air. No problem. Disney's already parted ways with you. So I don't know where else this is going to go. I mean, no, he's still making the TV show, I guess. But I mean, as far as like motion pictures, well, that was a swing and a miss. Bob
Iger and Jimmy Kimmel have brought America together. Now the right and left both hate Disney.
That's right. This was the best, Ron. You wanted Keith Oberman. This was the best Keith Oberman one. I've known Disney chairman Bob Iger since 1979. He's now made it official. He's a whore.
Imagine Keith Oberman. He's known Iger since 1979. And it's only in 2025 that he put 2 and 2 together.
This is the best. And for those of you who don't, like, Keith Oberman was a very well-known for many, many years sportscaster until he went absolutely batshit crazy. And I mean hard left batshit crazy. Jimmy Kimmel looks really, really calm and normal compared to Keith Olbermann. Trust me. Olbermann is really, really kooky. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's just so freaking good. You got Robert Garcia, congressman out there. The Oversight Committee is launching an investigation into ABC, Sinclair, and the FCC. Cool, I guess. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe it'll be the
Democrats are launching an investigation.
This is what he's saying. Congressman, former mayor of Long Beach, educator, progressive, and proud American. He's from, I guess which district? I saw it earlier. I think it's like District 7, California. Yeah.
All right, but the point is the Democrats are in the minority. What kind of?
I know that was kind of one of my head scratchy things. So I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, he's not running the Oversight Committee, so I think it's more wishful thinking. Here we go. Keith Olbermann. I'm not even going to read this out loud. Y'all could read it on the screen because it's just freaking terrible. When I tell you that Keith Olbermann is worse than even Jimmy Kimmel by a long shot, at least maybe an order of magnitude, this is what I'm talking about. Wow. So we'll leave that there. By the way, just for the record, since I have this up, we all know what is going to be the featured game next Tuesday night on Geeks and Gamers Live. Make sure you check out Jeremy and D.A. Cobra as they play Furry Shades of Gay. This was apparently a Steam game that Captain Jackass here was playing. Furry Shades of Gay. Oh my God. Rolling Stone. Why cancel culture is good for democracy. 2023. Rolling Stone. People are losing their jobs for criticizing free speech advocate Charlie Kirk. 2025. It's just kind of there. I had a couple of the things I wanted to, let me go through. I think some of these other ones were, we had that one. Good Lord. I don't know what this means, Ron. All he wanted to do was make you laugh. Now we have no choice but to make you cry.
It's a threat.
Some people, that's what I thought it was, Ron. It seemed like a threat. By the way, speaking of Disney, we got our good friend, Pedro Pascal out there. Y'all remember Pedro Pascal, right? I mean, Pedro loved to go out there.
I want to remind everyone that this is absolutely not gay.
Yes, the new leader of Star Wars and Marvel, Pedro Pascal right there. He's your daddy, my daddy. He's the whole internet's daddy. Remember that? Didn't work. I love this post from Steph. Pedro Pascal is standing with Jimmy Kimmel, the same man who stayed silent when his co-star, Gina Carano, was fired over a social media post. He also spelled free speech wrong. And so this is the post. Pedro Pascal, standing with you, Jimmy Kimmel, defend free speech, SPEACH, I guess. I'm not going to, I make typos, so I'm not going to complain too much. And then just reminding everybody that Pedro Pascal was more quiet than a mouse fart when it came to Gina Carano, who didn't do anything like Jimmy Kimmel did, and got fired anyway. This is what he's right back to this. You know, Pedro Pascal loves him some Donald Trump. No, I'm lying. He really doesn't. This is what fascism looks like. Talking about Jimmy Kimmel. SAG-AFTRA condemns the suspension. He's reposting that as well. So again, I just found that to be amusing. Pedro Pascal is now actually speaking up for quote unquote free speech when he couldn't be bothered for one of his best friends and co-stars on a show he was on called The Mandalorian. So, oh, the irony. Yeah, there's this Destiny story. I wanted to get to that. I loved, you know, this was the we didn't play this one earlier. I guess I'll play it since we have it here. It's only a minute long. So this was Brendan Carr on CNBC today. and some of his follow-on comments to what happened with Kimmel. I just want to play this real quick.
No, look, again, broadcast TV is different. We're on a cable show right now. You don't have an FCC license. You don't have an obligation to serve the public interest. Podcasts don't either. Stand-up comedians, whether they're on lots of forms of communications, don't. And Kimmel is free to do that. But if you have a broadcast TV license, that means that you have something that very few people have. And you're excluding other people from having access to that valuable public resource. And it comes with an obligation to serve the public interest. And again, over the years, there's been a rule in place at the FCC that local TV stations get to preempt programming that they don't think meets the needs of their communities. But recently, these national programmers, ABC, Disney, Comcast, NBC, they've been exercising outsized control and power over those local TV stations, and there's been no pushback. And this is a very significant moment because local broadcasters are now pushing back on national programmers for the first time that I can think of in modern history. And that's one of the things we want at the FCC. We want to empower local broadcasters that have the public interest obligation to push back on national programmers so that people have more choice. I don't know, look.
Let me ask you, Ron, hearing that, I mean, sound like a fairly reasonable position to you or no?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, look, everything Brendan is saying is within is you can back it up. I mean, it is true. I mean, I wrote on this topic when I was in college. You know, the allocation of radio and later TV spectrum space under the Federal Communications Act has been used as a rationale under the law for a lot of stuff. All I'm saying is that I wouldn't want to die on that hill if I were challenged. I think here, though, I mean, the more I learn about this, and after that report that we read from Variety, and I understand there was also a similar article in Wall Street Journal about how it went down, I think it's harder and harder to suggest that Kimmel could take any kind of legal action against the FCC.
Yeah, I like I said, interesting territory here, and I'm not sure, what's going to shake out of this, but it seems like based on what we read from that THR piece that there was a lot of moving parts to this decision for Jimmy Kimmel not to be on the air. And frankly, what seemed to be the biggest component of that was Kimmel himself deciding that it's like, look, Disney is still your employer. If they're asking you to go out, and that's why I even speculated last night, I doubt this, this makes no sense. This immediately went to the show is canceled, right? Because under normal circumstances, and we've seen these kind of things happen before on TV shows where, the next night somebody has to walk back out on stage or sit behind the desk and say, hey, we're sorry, we made a mistake, or something along those lines. And then you just keep going. Now, if there's something that's actually an infraction with the FCC, maybe there's a fine or something like that. But you move on. The fact that the nuclear option was pulled like instantly, and that's why I was like, there had to be more to it. And sure enough, it's the fact that Jimmy Kimmel wanted to be stubborn, stand his ground, and say, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say what I want tonight. But I'm not going to apologize. And Disney was like, well, bye. So
yeah, and again, it wasn't even that he said I'm not going to apologize. He wanted to not just double down, but make this a fighting issue.
Yeah,
Disney's trying to cool the flames, and he wanted to throw the gasoline on.
Yeah. Keith Oberman was mad. Did you see this one? Watch. I'm just going to warn Keith Oberman. Like I said, I told you all earlier, I had to say because we had the other Keith Oberman tweets, but yeah.
Now that we can say with some certainty that if Tyler Robinson indeed shot Charlie Kirk, he shot him for personal reasons because he saw Kirk as a direct threat to somebody he loved. that Robinson was not a stochastic proxy murderer from Antifa or the Groypers or the right-wingers who had so recently called Kirk a fraud, like Laura Loomer, it is then also clear that there is truly only one person whose words created, amplified, mainstreamed, and manufactured this nightmarish environment that has led to Charlie Kirk's death. The leading threat in this country, in this moment, to the safety and the lives of conservatives and Republicans and MAGA commentators and politicians and civilians is not George Soros, and it's not Antifa, and it's not a Democrat nor a liberal nor a socialist nor an immigrant nor a transgendered person. The leading threat in this country in this moment to the safety and the lives of conservatives and
I wonder who he could be talking about. I can't guess. I can't wait till he tells us. I don't know. I have no idea.
Republicans and MAGA is Donald Trump.
Oh, shit.
The individual who's done the most to put the lives and welfare of all of us directly and also by his perverted lead and demonic inspiration of others.
Oh, God. This is Keith Oberman. Just imagine this guy 15, 20 years ago when he was still a sportscaster. God, it was awful. It was awful. Anyway, that's
he's a terrible person.
Oh, he's really, really bad. We had one other. Oh, good Lord. Did not want to scroll down and see that. That burned my eyes out. Boy, I'm glad I didn't have that on screen a second ago. Good Lord. Some of the other reactions out there from people. Hey, I just canceled my $15,000 Disney trip. You've got people out there all over posting pictures of them canceling their Disney Plus accounts and all this kind of stuff. It's truly, truly funny out there. I mean, there are so many things that I did not have on my bingo card this year, to be frank. And there were quite a number of them. Let me tell you what, I did not have this on my bingo card.
Exactly.
I just did not have this on the bingo card. God, it's so good. And of course, many of us out there are having fun with this and encouraging people on the left. Yes, you absolutely should. It was terrible what they did to Jimmy.
Yeah, right.
Cancel that Hulu subscription. Cancel that Disney Plus subscription. Cancel those $5,000, $15,000 Disney theme park trip tickets and all this stuff. Go for it, baby. Yes. Okay. The last thing, or a couple of, one other thing I wanted to bring up. Now, this was interesting, and I had sent you this thing earlier, and I know we've had a little bit of new information since then. But that piece in there about, I kind of want you to speak to, let me pull it up here. Got to scroll back right here. This piece from Politico, Ron, that I sent you earlier today. Jimmy Kimmel has Supreme Court precedent on his side. He should sue the Trump administration, writes law professor Aziz Hook. I don't know if I'm saying that right. He says the Constitution doesn't guarantee Jimmy Kimmel a talk show. Okay. But it does guarantee that the government won't quash his speech because of what he chooses to say. Kimmel now has a straightforward lawsuit for damages and forward-looking relief that he can and should file. Ron, kind of seeing everything, all the news we've had today, these different discussions. What do you think about this?
No. Again, there is precedent for the idea that it would not have been necessary for Brendan Carr to actually take action.
Mm-hmm.
All he has to do is threaten action. But first of all, it's not so clear that he threatened action. And second of all, I mean, he does have a prima facie defense based on FCC regulations. But third of all, the networks and the affiliates have made it very clear. Mm-hmm. They were responding to commercial pressures, not in any way to to anything that was said on whatchamacallit, by Brendan Carr.
By
And
Brendan Carr, yeah.
and here's the other, it's kind of funny. Of course, this is the difference between law professors and people who actually practice law. How do you make a statement like that without knowing the facts? It hasn't even been 36 hours, and you're concluding the stuff that we've been talking about for the last half an hour is largely stuff that he couldn't have done when he wrote this.
Yeah.
How do you come to a conclusion like that?
That's that was my question, right? There were still a lot of things that we didn't know how it went down. And certainly today, and this was posted today at noon, my time, Central Time. And I realize that some of these articles came out after this, but again, it seems clear to me now that not only Sinclair, not only Nexstar, not only Brendan Carr, but major business partners, namely national advertisers, that don't give lips about what Brendan Carr says, owe him no allegiance, are not regulated by Brendan Carr. National advertisers, although we didn't have the names, but we could, you could speculate, probably just take some big car manufacturers, like I said earlier, big restaurants or fast food, big, Procter & Gamble, stuff like this, get your Crest toothpaste. But major national advertisers don't give a flying flip about the FCC. They called up and had some things to say. So, again, like I said, this guy's saying he's got a straightforward suit for damages against the Trump administration, right? He doesn't say Disney. He doesn't say Nexstar. He goes right at the Trump administration. Doesn't really. I feel like as a layperson, knowing nothing, that doesn't seem like that case has got a lot of water to it right now.
I don't think so.
No,
but I mean, it's the kind of thing that that gets you quoted in Politico. Woo! Quoted in Politico.
Yeah, that's it.
Even I've been quoted in Politico.
Let me run through some of these super chats here. We got Hillis Mallory for 2. Oh, someone has a birthday. Yeah. Kit Kat for 10. Happy birthday, VR. These aren't going to stop, are they? I was hoping to get all the way through to Sunday, not doing a show tomorrow, and not have this happen. So I'm. This is why it's like I'm not doing a show Friday. Now I will tell you, I guess now the cat's out of the bag. I think that Echo Base Network will be doing a show Saturday. I think as they typically do, because it's Coach's birthday Saturday. So I may hop over there and go hang out with the boys at Echo Base for a bit. Gokery for 2. Yep. Happy birthday, VR. Party at his place. Drinks are on him. I don't have enough. Tennessee Tornado for 2. The AI cam just believes in finger gun free zones. Finger guns. Can't do that in school either. Eric Heffelfinger for 5. We're being lectured to by people who lost their minds over a Sydney Sweeney pants ad. Yeah, I guess you're not wrong. Ventus Bruma for $20. Just got back from a vigil in Boston, Massachusetts. Well over 1,000 people there. Not only did Antifa come to protest and curse us out, I'm assuming you're talking about a Charlie Kirk vigil, but it had to end early because of credible threats. I'm not surprised. Those are the people Kimmel sides and covers for. Yep. Cars in depth for 5. Did you see Bill Ackman's response to Candace Owens about him allegedly trying to intimidate Charlie Kirk over Israel? I did not see this. Does he have a defamation case? So Candace Owens was saying that Bill Ackman was trying to intimidate
Charlie. He was part of he was this intervention. In other words, in order for her to explain the fact that Charlie was a very strong Israel supporter, she has to explain, and yet at the same time to maintain that Israel had a role in his murder, which is sick and vile and a bloodline.
That's the weirdest conspiracy theory I'd heard all week. Was
So in order to justify that, she says, well, he was really about to make a very big change in his view on Israel, which he only told me. And Bill and there was a retreat that was held that Ackman went to, but also Josh Hammer was there. I don't get invited to any of these things, by the way. I am such an elder of Zion. Look at me with the white beard.
Hashtag invite Ron Coleman.
And Ron Coleman to these power. Anyway, in all seriousness, it's so in order to justify that ridiculous claim, she has to say that these people, someone made a very good point. They decided to shoot Charlie, God forbid, because he was about to change his mind about Israel.
Yeah.
But they don't shoot anyone who was actually all along been against Israel.
Right?
Unless of course they're in Hamas.
It's the most bizarre. I was like, no, it's good. Look, the simple answer is usually the right one in this case, and I realize that a lot of people dive down a lot of the conspiracy theory rabbit holes, but good Lord, it's like, dude, this is not going to be hard to figure. We all knew what this was going to wind up being. It was going to be a young person, probably leftist, which it turned out to be, but this one just went over the top because he had a boyfriend who was trans, trying to transition to a girl, and they loved, furry. What was it? Furry gay, the third game. I mean, like, look, you could not. And here's the thing. In 2025, when you see that stuff, your reaction, most people's reaction is just, yeah, not surprised. I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary there for that type, that personality type. Stitch became a YouTube channel member. Thank you, Stitch. Stitch over there on the Coleman Nation podcast. John comment for 2. The left is defending a minstrel. Rest in peace. Carr Malone died? I didn't know this. Wow. Okay. Oh, I get it. I see what you did there. Rest in peace. Jimmy Kimmel's, he did blackface Carl Malone bits years ago.
Right. True.
Yeah, I just realized, like, oh, okay, wait. Okay, I got you. I'm with you. I know we keep saying we're going to get to the story, but we're already kind of getting here on the 2-hour mark. But I want to just add this because we were going to do this last night. Then the Kimmel thing broke. We didn't get to it today. You guys out there, look, I didn't know who this guy was until probably a month or 2 ago because my gamer friends tell me about this. People that do game streams and all this kind of stuff, who Destiny was. I'd heard a little bit about him. What an absolute whack job. He goes on Piers Morgan a few days ago, and I don't know if he was on something or what the hell was wrong with him. But he said in no uncertain terms that if you didn't want Charlie Kirk to be dead, then you shouldn't have elected Donald Trump as president. I'm not paraphrasing, and I'm not pulling it out of context. That is what the man said. And Piers Morgan's face, I'm trying to go back. It's buried so far back now. But there's an update to this that we were seeing news kind of break on this before the show. And then I think it seems like it's been confirmed. But Destiny appears to have been completely demonetized on YouTube. There were a lot of folks out there today that were getting people that were members. They were posting about this in Reddit, of course. You knew it had to be Reddit. We're posting that their memberships had been suspended for Destiny's channel. Now, Destiny's a big streamer on Kick. That's a big source of money over there too. But YouTube was not small potatoes. YouTube, he had 800,000 subscribers on this thing. Let me show you. And look, Destiny has said some incredibly horrible, like, I don't even know how he's been monetized on YouTube this long. I'll put it this way. This guy has violated more terms of service than every one of the rest of us on YouTube, I think, combined times 100. This was the segment in question. So, and you can see Jack Posobiec is on there, Pierce Morgan.
Can you imagine a world in which Jack Posobiec and Destiny are on the same panel?
Yeah. And Anna Kasparian is the one that jumps in there to smack Destiny around. This was wild. This was just like, when we talk about how radicalized the left is, I want you to listen to this. And again, bear in mind that it seems tonight, or at least earlier today, and I'll show you the tweets that we had, the things that were put out there. Seems that it's been confirmed that Destiny has been completely demonetized on YouTube.
Been active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis. In response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags at half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X, buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect. And you then posted yesterday, ending every conservative debate call out I do in 2026 with, don't dodge, bro. That's not what Charlie would have wanted. I mean, do you think that your response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate?
Now, look, Pierce sets him up, right? Here's your words. This is what you said. Now that you're sitting here on, live television, is there anything that you would like to either clarify or maybe back down on? You could kind of see where Pierce is going with this. This right here is who Destiny is.
I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term.
Oh,
what a dick,
bro. No, I mean, and this is, like, I never watched Destiny. And again, I've heard the name, but then I had to, in certain chats, when you got people like Grums and Demion, Smash JT, Savvy, that whole crew. And I'm in some of those chat groups with all those with Flash and everybody else. And they talk about that. They've talked about him before because I was like, I don't follow gamers, and that's apparently but Destiny has turned himself from gamer into, or at least I thought he was, into, big personality of hard left-wing radical politics. Listen to this again, just so there's no mistaking what he said.
To do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term.
Wow.
Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All
of them were Democrats, I think.
Of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
Who shot Charlie Kirk?
A guy from Utah who was raised in a Christian family, who was a 22-year-old
white
dude.
described,
He wasn't
Destiny.
trans. He didn't have a trans girlfriend. He didn't have any trans influences. He didn't have any trans bullets. Yeah, I'm sorry. You guys were wrong on all of that.
To be clear,
about that, Destiny,
the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry. Excuse me. When?
Yesterday, he said that.
I'm sorry. When? Yesterday. Fuck, really?
No. When was he radicalized? In the 6 months that he did remote college?
I don't know when he was radicalized, but I do know.
What you just said
I do know the very reasonable-sounding governor of Utah has made it clear that the
this guy, just like Pierce, is just telling him these are now facts and evidence. The governor's reporting this. The state of Utah's law enforcement's offices are reporting this. The FBI is reporting this. They have it all there. They got the text messages, the phone records, the emails, the Reddit shit, and all the everything. It's not true. No, it's not. No.
He hasn't made it
You may
clear.
not want
He
to
said
hear
this is
this.
an ongoing investigation.
You may not want to
You
hear
don't
it,
wanna
Destiny,
Piers.
but the reality is the investigators, according to the governor of Utah, have established that he was radicalized to a leftist ideology that drove him to murder Charlie Kirk. Now, let me just
that's
ask you.
just not true.
Let me just
There's
ask
no
you.
way
well,
to deal with it. You're
Okay,
living in
you're
a
accusing the
delusional
governor of
fantasy.
lying.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative. But
Sure.
if it turns out to have been somebody with a leftist ideology who wanted to shut up Charlie Kirk, would you condemn that?
I won't condemn anything until the president of the United States can go on air and say, all of us need to calm down.
So
The
you
fact
won't
that he
condemn
can
the
go on
murder of
Fox and
Charlie
Friends-
Kirk
I'm
until
just-
Donald Trump says
Piers,
something.
I'm a YouTuber. Leftists and Democrats have been
By the way, you're not a YouTuber anymore.
condemning and turning down the temperature, condemning violence, turning down the temperature for a decade. Donald Trump can't go on TV and say, all of us need to calm down.
Right.
Can you tell me why he cannot?
Why
tell
would you
his side
expect
to calm
anybody,
down?
Destiny?
You
what-
can't answer that. Can you answer that question? Why
Okay,
can't
can
Trump
you
go on
answer
TV
this
and say,
question?
all of us should be less violent?
Why do you
can't
think?
Trump say that?
Why do you
Why
think?
can't Trump say that?
All right, here comes Anna. She cannot hold it in anymore. She cannot hold it in.
I feel like
Contingent
I'm
on Donald
insane
Trump.
right now.
Why do you
is
think?
your
No, let me
behavior
ask a
contingent
question.
on Donald Trump?
Let me
Why
ask
is
a
that?
question.
Because he's the president of the United States of America and the leader of the
Yeah,
opposing
Destiny,
political party.
Destiny. Let me
You
just.
have a huge audience of young men who
I'm a
listen to
YouTuber
everything you have to
who
say.
has more
So
young
when
men
you,
following
it
him.
doesn't matter.
Who
You
has
have a
more young-
huge
it doesn't
audience,
matter.
and because
This
of
is
the
the
fact that
world
you have a
I'm
huge
living in,
audience,
and
you
your
have
brain
a
has been
responsibility
broken by
to
online
not turn.
rhetoric.
No,
And
it
your
hasn't.
brain
It hasn't
has
been
been
broken. I
destroyed
actually care
because
about the
people
country
bullied you on
and want to bring
Twitter.
people together.
If
You
then
do the
you should tell
opposite.
Donald
You
Trump to tell
represent the
people
worst
to
of us,
be
Destiny.
less.
It's like this guy. Now, it's not the only place he does this, right? And this is the point. Just leaving everybody with this, and I'm sure we'll see more information soon here. But I want to leave y'all with this. I got to go back. I got to pull up the. Hang on, let me grab it. It's right back here in one of my private DMs. This apparently has been now confirmed. And there's a few places out there. Destiny's YouTube channel demonetized. And of course, if you ever had issues with billing or anything, you know this is. I've had this because I've had channels that had issues where YouTube was false flagging people all over the place for like reused content and stuff like this. It was a mess. I got 2 or 3 of these in 1 month. This is real. This is exactly how these emails look. Unless somebody did a hell of a Photoshop job. But there's more. And that is that Destiny membership features have been paused. That's the first sign that a channel has absolutely been demonetized. Then here's the other thing. He started a live show today, and everybody noticed you can't super chat anymore. So that is gone. So when your guy like Destiny, ad revenue, super chats, memberships, I mean, again, he's apparently got some big following on Kick. I'll be honest, I've never been on Kick. I don't know a damn thing about it. I think Kick is kind of like Twitch, where it's really kind of geared towards gamers. I'm not sure, but point is that may be his last refuge. And that's what's going on right now. So you guys out there, let me know in the chat what you think. Ron, I didn't know if you've been following the story on this guy, and I only brought it up tonight because I was supposed to get it last night. And then we got into Jimmy Kimmel. That was it. I'm like, the audience is going to kill me. I'm not going to ever get to this.
He's a truly terrible person.
It really, really, truly seems like it. And somebody shared this clip today. This was also in one of the private chats here that somebody sent me. Destiny was loudly heckled. Now, this is what he was. We showed the thing a minute ago, or this was a couple of days ago. See, like you can see a member message there. And I think this was before. This was right before he got demonetized. And it might have happened because of the stream. Because you can see the member message down there, which means, okay, they were able to super if you were a member, and memberships hadn't yet been paused, but it seems like at some point during the show, it may have happened. So
in the United States, I think we look to our leadership. Take the dick out of your mouth, you fucking faggot.
Wow, okay. Well, we got some language in this one.
Where'd your dog go? You're a piece of shit.
So apparently, I mean, they were tired of this guy, and I think they had to call in security to bring him in. But This guy, you know, again, he fancies himself like what he's doing here. You can clearly see he set up a tent. He's going to public areas like college campuses and elsewhere and setting up a tent, and doing his shtick. He's doing his Charlie Kirk thing. Except this guy is not the nice guy like Charlie Kirk was. He's very, very much not. And look, you know, I don't know how many people Destiny has working for him. Editors, thumbnail people, if he's got a staff that puts together things for him, if he just runs all this himself, I don't know. I have no idea. But, you know, you got almost 1 million subs on YouTube, and your live shows are unfortunately have some decent size audiences to them. And I say unfortunately because he is a nut job. But that kind of channel getting demonetized that hurts. That is a lot of revenue. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, for those of you that may not know this, you know, people say go on Rumble, go on here, go on there. There is absolutely no even X. There is no comparing the revenue capability to run this kind of business that YouTube has. X doesn't do it. X can't do it. Rumble can't do it. I mean, unless you got, you know, 5 million people over there, you sign unless you're, you know, Steven Crowder or something like that, you go sign a contract with Rumble for money. But like regular people like me, no. I've tried it. I think I had 100,000 views on Rumble. I had 25 cents in ad revenue or some damn thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not on your level, but I just found it to be an utterly unsatisfying experience, and their creator tools compared to YouTube are nothing. It's, you know.
Yeah, I look, I'd love to have a really viable YouTube competitor. I think long-term X could be that place. But they still have a ways to go. You know, the trouble that you have, like the monetization thresholds on X for the beginning were very confusing. The getting subscribers on X, being able to offer subscriptions, that was at first very confusing. Still no super chats on X, which a lot of people out there like to do because, you know, they just send in their question because when you get, 3,000-4,000 messages during a live, you can't read all these things. You can't respond to everybody's question and read every question. And this is why people send super chats. Speaking of super chats, I got a couple left here. Thanks, Stitch, for the new member. We got that one before. John Common, the left is defending. Oh, yeah, recipes, Carl Malone. I think we did get this one. Hillis Mallory for 10. Israel behind the what? The guy was a confused kid that had a furry Barbie doll boyfriend and wanted to engrave bullets. This fiction about Israel being anywhere near this is stupid. Yes. I can't even. Some people, man. Some people. That just, everything is always a conspiracy theory. It's all weird. But I think that it looks like now this is the one I was looking for. Just to put a pin in this. Another one here, liberal streamer Destiny, who recently refused to disavow the politically motivated assassination of Charlie Kirk, has been demonetized on YouTube. So ouch. I think he'd been demonetized off Twitch some time ago, somebody said. Or had been deplatformed from Twitch. So he had a kick in YouTube, and now YouTube is basically gone. Now, I will say that, people like Jeremy, D-Day Cobra, and these guys, they know people like Destiny way better than I do, and they cautioned everybody. This guy loves to troll people. He loves to play tricks like this to get jazzed and get a lot of attention. He is apparently a huge attention whore. I guess we all are to a respect here on YouTube, but and that he may be faking this, but this would be a hell of a fake out. I mean, you don't just, on YouTube, you don't just throw a switch and shut off memberships and super chats like that. It's once you turn them on, I mean, you can go in and shut them off, I think, but it's not just a simple thing to turn them back on again. There's a whole thing to it. I mean, usually once you apply and get them turned on, they're on, unless YouTube takes them away. Unless I'm missing something here. So, any case,
I'm looking at his channel, and no No memberships.
I didn't see it either. I went to his channel earlier. I didn't see anything.
Yeah. It's right now. He's
Yeah.
doing a stream now.
I don't want to pull it up on the screen.
Yeah, I got that.
Screw that guy. So if he's doing a stream now, but I mean, any super chat buttons in there?
Nope.
No super chat buttons. So then, yeah, there you have it. I guess that's that.
All right. Well, there you go.
I guess that's it. Yeah, I'm not going to be subscribing to Destiny. Thank you very much. It was asking me, and I said no. VR, I just wanted to tell you that Shoe on Head. Oh, yeah, Shoe. I've heard of this guy, too. Has a new video. Nothing bad.
God.
I want to make. Yeah.
She's no guy.
Oh, that's right. That's right. This is a young lady that. Okay. I don't know if I've seen one of the videos. I just remember the name Shoe on Head. Has a new video that talks about Charlie Kirk and the responses. Very serious video. Cool. I will check that out. I didn't really know much about this person until the last few weeks. Again, just heard some other fellow YouTubers mention it. And I gotta get this. I gotta get her on my radar. Is she on camera or off camera? I don't know if I've ever watched a video of hers.
Oh,
you know what? Probably if I
not.
pull her up and look, I'm gonna go, oh, that girl. Probably just not putting two and two together. Okay, Ron. Any final thoughts here as we're rolling out?
No, we covered everything. There's nothing left to be said. We've said it all, and I've learned to control my hand movements so that I don't have any more surprises from the camera. And see, look, wait.
Good Lord.
Thanks for a lovely evening. It's
Yep.
been really a pleasure. Thanks to everyone for logging in on my channel and on Valliant's, and see you in a couple of weeks, guys.
Absolutely. Take care. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit the like button before you head on out the door today.